All right, welcome in. It's Tuesday. It's time for Total Bases, your one-stop MLB free pick show right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Bryan, Leonard, the weather gods have graced us with more day baseball today. We had a doubleheader yesterday. We got the early game in, and then it was like a monsoon in Chicago. I saw some of the images of the rain that wiped out that second game. So they're going to try again today, which means we get day baseball on a Tuesday, which is fantastic. And it's a really good matchup. You know, the Brewers got it done yesterday. I don't think the Cubs are playing for the NL Central at this point, but they're about to be in a dogfight in that wild card race. So a huge games for Chicago and a doubleheader setup again. Have you looked at the weather? Are we getting these games in, and do you have an opinion?
Yeah, according to the part factors here at the site I use, it looks like they're going to be the lowest percentage of runs scored today compared to normal. They're going to be 12% less, which is why you're seeing totals of 7 to 7.5, as opposed to like Target Field is plus 12% more than normal. A normal team in Colorado, obviously, plus 24%. Normally you find, you find the Mets Stadium down there, Texas Stadium. But Wrigley Field looks like a wind will be blowing in a little bit, and runs will be hard to come by, but they weren't hard to come by yesterday for the Brewers, who continue to just amaze the baseball world. 2 games today. The first one's at 11:20 a.m. That will be Pacific. Patrick going against Boyd. Patrick has been pretty good. I've got to admit, the Brewers are probably the most depth going back to the minors for starting pitching. They've done everything, and even the older guys that they brought up have done really well. Boyd is basically about a 140 favorite right now, 7.5 to the under. I don't want to lay 140 with Boyd. I talked about this in the past. Last 2 years, in 2023, he threw 71 innings. Last year, because of injury, 39 innings. He's already up to 142. If you've seen the way he has pitched lately, he hasn't had that same success. He comes in with a 2.46 ERA, but his expected is 3.26. It's lasted a long time this season without having any of that regression. I think it starts to come now. It's been coming the last few starts. Whip 1.02. He still throws that four-seamer 46% of the time, slightly over league average for a lefty. He throws a lot of fastballs. Eventually, you're going to get hit, and I do have some concerns about him here. Milwaukee, on the other hand, if I can get my mouse to work here. Milwaukee, as I said, going with Patrick on the mound. Chad Patrick has decent numbers this year. He comes in with a 3.52 in his rookie season, expected 4.12, whip 1.30. Nothing really stands out from his Savant page. His ground ball rate is in the 5th percentile, which is bad. But with the wind blowing in Wrigley, I think some of those balls will stay in the park, and that'll help him. Hard hit rate, 24th percentile, extension 24th percentile. It's clear that the Cubs have the better pitcher, but I think it's clear that the Brewers have the better hitting. If you take a look at the Major League leaderboard in WRC+, yesterday Toronto was number 1, Milwaukee number 2. Now Milwaukee's number 1, Toronto's number 2. Cubs are dead last. Pittsburgh passed them up a little bit yesterday. So the Cubs got to 71 WRC+ over the last 14 days, whereas Milwaukee is 143. They're hitting more than twice as well. So if I'm going to play this, I would find a way to play Milwaukee. Like Boyd overall, but yeah, he's not pitching the same, and he's getting a little bit of a tired arm. And that's the problem the Cubs are going to have. They've got a lot of these guys that are getting up there in innings. And before the show, Brandon was talking about, as teams go deeper into the season, if you've already gotten your playoff position, sort of like the Phillies, Dodgers, some of those teams, you're going to take the innings load off of a lot of your starters. So this is the time of year where they may have a starter go, but he may only go 4 innings or so. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the bullpens in these games. You'll see more bullpen time. for a lot of these teams that have already been or look like they're going to be in the playoffs.
It is $5 Tuesday, everyone. So we're going to have, all of us will have a $5 play up. I already have mine. It's in Major League Baseball with a free play loaded on my page, and we all will have a free play as well. So you see that scroller down there. Our pages are there at Wager Talk. So grab our free play at least and take a look at what we got for $5. We won our parlay yesterday, and I went 4-0 in MLB yesterday. So pretty good day all around. And I'm going to go against the grain here. There's two things that I really like about Boyd here. His numbers against Milwaukee in his career, really good. A 226 average against and a 645 OPS against, and that's in 53 at bats against. And also, Boyd's a really good home pitcher. He's got a 1.75 ERA at home in 67 innings. So I think today's the day that the Brewers finally get stopped. I don't think he'll hold them to 0, but I think he can control them to 2 runs or so. And the Cubs, I think they're going to break out a little bit. I mean, if you call 3 runs a breakout, I don't have the testicular fortitude to take the Cubs on the money line. However, I think the Brewers team total under, if you can get a 4.5, that would be great. But I think even first 5 innings under 1.5 might be a decent play. If you can get 2.5, that would be even better. I haven't played it yet and I haven't seen the numbers yet, but if I'm going to play it, that's the way I would go.
Yeah, I am in agreement with you, Tokyo Brandon. I like the Cubs here.
We agree a lot lately, Adam.
It's not a bad thing. Hey, I mean, I saw you had a good night last night, so I'm glad when we're on the same side in some of these. So Trevor says Brewers plus 125 is incredibly disrespectful. The Cubs are horrible and going to miss the playoffs. That statement is fine. I don't really disagree with that statement. I don't know if the Cubs will miss the playoffs, but they're certainly in a battle. They're gonna be in a dogfight, and it's gotten even closer after yesterday with the Reds winning last night. But I'm hoping that the market has that same thought process. I'm hoping that as the day goes on, so this is an early game, that people just kind of grab that price with the Brewers, because I really do like the Cubs in this spot. And you know, I don't want to discount what Bryan said about Boyd, because I do think it's something to watch. Though I haven't really seen like a reason to fade him yet. Like, he's pretty good last time out. I think he gave up the homer in like the 7th inning to the Blue Jays, which is like, okay, he held the Blue Jays basically scoreless for 6, and I think he gave up the home run in the 7th in like a 2-1 game. But Boyd's been solid. I don't mind him, and I wouldn't mind backing him here. You know, the wind blowing in could help Patrick, but there's not many people taking Matthew Boyd deep either. I think he's only given up like 10 or 11 homers on the season. So I don't think he's going to get bombed here. And if anything, it's easier to string hits together off Chad Patrick. Like, I've watched a ton of Chad Patrick, mostly at the minor league level. He's been, you know, he's been, I think, at AAA since 2023. He was there almost all year last year. He's been there a lot of this year. And I kind of feel like I have him pegged at this point in terms of like what he's going to be. He's consistent. I feel like they're going to look at him as someone that they can trust as like a 5th starter if needed, if they don't have a better option. I don't think he's shutting big league lineups down, but he's probably not going to get killed either. You know, his stuff is, I just consider him like a pretty average major league starter, 5th starter. It feels like you almost get the same effort from him every time. It's going to be 5 innings. He's probably going to give up a run or 2, and you're just going to go from there. Now, where I think the from there is in this game is the fact that the Cubs need this so badly that they're going to be so much more willing to like burn out in game 1 of the doubleheader than the Brewers will. And I did think that when the Brewers lost the game, which was Sunday, that you might see them play like 500 ball for the next week or so. They just had that 14-game win streak. It wouldn't surprise me if they play, you know, they're more of a 500 team for like a week or 2, because I feel like they've done enough at this point. And I think they're going to feel like they've done enough too. And maybe you see them play like 500 ball, which is fine for them. They have an 9-game lead in the division. So This is not a scenario where I'm really looking to get involved with the Cubs like across a doubleheader, but I really do think that there's an edge in game one. And if the market's going to drive this down a little bit more, let's say I can get at some point Cubs minus 125, under minus 130, I may have to play that. So TB, I'm with you here. I kind of like the Cubs. No opinion for me in game two. Go ahead, Bryan.
I just want to touch on the Cubs not making the playoffs. The MLB site on ESPN now has the percentage of the teams making the playoffs, and they've got the Cubs at 96.7%. The Cubs are playing lousy, but the teams behind them are the Mets, the Reds, and the Padres, and they've got a 5-game lead over the Reds right now. So it's going to take a little bit. In fact, if we go back, we talked about the Yankees earlier. The Yankees are not playing well, but they still got a 92.9% chance to make the playoffs because other than the Red Sox, there are a lot of the teams in that league are not playing well. Seattle's, we talked about this coming into the show, may have to deal with some pitching injuries. So, even though some of these teams are not playing well, they'll probably still make the playoffs because you're either a have or have not this season. And unfortunately, there's too many have-nots in Major League Baseball.
The Cubs go to Cincinnati for 4 games in like mid-September. That should be hopefully it's on the line there. That would be nice. A good series. All right, I want to talk.
Cubs are on paper, they're really talented. It's amazing that they can't hit right now. Amazing.
All right, I want to move on to this game. I was on the Mariners last night. That was a loss. And a couple of things. So Colin wants to talk about Bryce Miller. He's going to be tonight's starter. And I can certainly speak on Miller. I bet him in his most recent game at AAA. So I've got some opinions there. But I want to point out, because it was talking about like Gilbert, home road splits and stuff. I truly believe Logan Gilbert is injured. And I think you'll see him go on the IL very soon. And that is not just because I lost with them last night. I felt like I was watching someone that was clearly hurt, try to like sort of fight through it. And I'm only bringing that up because I'm interested if he like does it for one more start, because it's like none of these guys want to take themselves out of a pennant race of the game if they feel like they can work through it. But Jordan Alexander, who's a friend of mine, who's a good follow on Twitter and really follows that division closely, was saying he's got the same injury as Cole, the one that Garrett Cole had, that we saw him really struggle at times last year, probably going to require surgery in the offseason. So that's worth monitoring, in my opinion, because that was not like, it was his worst start of the season. He had nothing, but it was like very apparent to me that he couldn't locate anything. And it looked like he was injured, in my opinion. So something to watch with Logan Gilbert. That was, of course, last night's game. The Phillies blew it open. And the Mariners, they tried at the end. They think they got 4 back, but it ended up being a 12-7 final. Now we move on to tonight, and that's what the chat wants to talk about. I see a lot of chatter here for this game. Kind of a similar assignment for the Mariners, Bryan, Leonard. It's another lefty. They didn't handle Suarez very well last night. And now it's Christopher Sanchez, who's arguably, not arguably, I think he is the better one. I think we'd all probably agree on that. And it's Bryce Miller for Seattle, who did kind of look good in his most recent rehab start. And I think he's probably ready. So Mariners, Phillies, how are you seeing this one? Mariners kind of need to do something here. They're starting to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, when I looked at the card today, and I already have my $5 play up, and I have a free play up already, this was one of the games I was interested in. Bryce Miller coming back from injury. But if you've read the quotes from Miller, it was an elbow situation. He says he feels better now than he's felt all season long. Its strength is, he thinks he can go long. He does throw 7 pitches. So even if his fastball isn't working well, he can use his others. His StatCast page looks terrible this year, and he has been terrible, but he has gone through a lot of injuries. Keep in mind, last year he had a 2.94 ERA, 0.98 whip. Now, he's a young guy. It's only in 3 seasons, but I think he will be more like that than he has been this year. And to get a Seattle team in this price range is, to me, it's a little bit of a bargain, especially when you take a look at Munoz, Brash, Spire, and Bizzardo. None of them have pitched in the last 3 days. So they could go 5 innings of Miller here, and then use those guys to finish off the game. Every single one of them pitching an inning. That's a pretty good pitching lineup for Seattle here. And obviously, Philadelphia is playing really good ball right now. Christopher Sanchez has been great. His Statcast page is virtually all red here. 2.45 ERA, 3.03 expected. So a little negative regression coming his way, 1.09 whip, but he's very good. But he only throws 3 pitches, the sinker, slider, and the change. So it's easier to guess, and a lot of these players do guess. And if they know a guy's only got 3 pitches as opposed to 7, it's easier to figure it out. But Sanchez, for what he's got, he's just been tremendous this year, and I fully understand why people would want to play Philadelphia. You got a guy who's probably in the top 5 in Cy Young votes, and you got a Philadelphia team that's playing really well right now. But my thought process is, if these two teams will meet in the playoffs right now on a neutral, maybe Philadelphia is if each team is playing the same amount of games, maybe Philadelphia overall is maybe a 120, 125 favorite. And I'm seeing upwards. If you go into some of the, the FanDuel, the Fanatics, DraftKings, those kind of things, they're in the 175 range here. And I just don't understand it. You could catch Seattle right now, like 160, 161 on a comeback. That's enough to get me involved. I'll be involved with Seattle some way on this game, whether it be maybe a team total or just as the underdog, because like I said, all those guys, the best guys in the bullpen, are going to be available to here. This is a live dog, if you ask me.
TB, I think you're muted. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me? How about now?
Now we can. Now we can.
Okay. So Bryan has a play out already. That's amazing. I think that's a first. So he's got his $5 play out. I've got mine out. Adam, do you have yours out yet?
I don't. I will
Okay.
probably use it for Korean baseball, which goes in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're all going to have a $5 play up, and we're all going to have a free play up for sure, if we don't already. So go to our pages and check those out, guys. We had a great day yesterday. Almost everything we said to bet went our way, except a couple small ones. So let's keep it going. Regarding this game, I'm kind of going to go against Bryan. Not exactly against, but Sanchez is just pitching so well right now, and that Philly bullpen just pitching really well right now. I don't really trust the Philly bats right now. They're a little bit cold. And Seattle, I got them ranked really mediocre. So when I see mediocre bats going against a really good bullpen and a really good starting pitcher, that just makes me want to go to the team total under. 3.5 under, though, is really hard in Major League Baseball. It's hard to bet, especially when you got the number 1 home run king on the team next to Suarez, who hit a home run the other day and is starting to heat up since he got traded. But that would be the only way I would go. But because that's the only way I would go, I'm probably not going to play this game. Neither pitcher has a really good history against the batters he's facing, so can't really read that very much. The one thing about Miller, he hasn't pitched for 2 months, and he's got a 1.5 plus whip, so that kind of scares me about Seattle.
If you are on my all access service and you've been following along the AAA plays, we bet on Bryce Miller last week. They were on the road at Vegas. It was a really good price. I don't think the books sometimes the books with these AAA like rehab starts, they just kind of throw like a very generic price out there, because a lot of times a rehab start for AAA could be like 2-3 innings. It's not always like a full thing. So the books kind of like don't want to, throw it. They don't want to like inflate it too much, because then like they'll get action on the other side if they're only going to go a couple innings. I felt like Miller last week was going to get the full rub, and he did. And he actually didn't want to come out. Like he was at 76 pitches in the 6th, and he was just you could tell he kind of was like, let me finish the inning. They are obviously going to say no to that. AAA is not about really wins and losses to them. Like they had him 75 to 80 pitches. They took him out, but he was fantastic. 5 2/3, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. I think he gave up like 1 run. In 3 rehab starts at AAA, 149 batting average against and a 0.75 whip. Totally dominant. He's more than ready to pitch here. Now, yeah, it's the Phillies lineup in Citizens Bank Park is going to be much different than facing a PCL team, but I don't think that should discount how well he threw the ball over 3 starts at AAA for his rehab. And then Bryan comes in with the quote that he feels great. Well, he looked like he felt great because everything, I mean, it looked like I was watching Bryce Miller that had all the upside that, I felt like I was watching the Bryce Miller that everyone expected him to be prior to the injury. So I really would only go back with the Mariners here at this price. Bryan already did a great job of laying out how insane this price is. I kind of wanted Mariners plus 1.5. It's minus 140. Maybe goes in the parlay. I'm going to think about that as we do the show. If that came down 10 cents, I might have another client play on the Mariners. They just saw a lefty last night, so you got to think that maybe helps them out a little bit. And then, as Bryan said, they have all of the good bullpen arms are available here. And even with the loss yesterday, I feel like the Mariners are good for a couple homers in this ballpark whenever they play here. Like even with them trailing yesterday, Cole Young went deep. They tacked on a couple more at the end. That game was dead in the water. Gilbert was hurt. In my opinion, he was hurt. And he gave up 6 runs in the second inning. So the Mariners never really got off the mat. I think you see a much better effort. You know what? Why even mess around? Let's throw that in the parlay. What's Mariners plus 1.5 right now? Minus 140?
I believe that's what I saw a second ago. Let me just check it one more time. More of a about 142, I would say.
All right, we'll take that. That's fine. That way I get something on it. I don't know if we'll see the Phillies take any more money, but like again, the Phillies are weird though. Even yesterday they took money throughout the day, and I didn't think they would. The Phillies at home, they're always inflated and they almost always take money. So if that creeps down to like minus 130, minus 125 territory, I may have to add it as a client play. But for now, it's going to be a first leg of our parlay. So Mariners plus 1.5 to kick off the parlay. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, we'll say the Philadelphia team total under 4.5. It looks pretty good to me because I think the Seattle pitching staff is in pretty good shape in this game.
I don't think they've used a top bullpen arm in days. I don't think like Moon.
Yeah. None of them in the last 3 days.
Yeah, so they're. I guess I don't understand this question. Like, why not back Sanchez? Well, I don't know why I would want to at this price. Like, I feel like we answered that question. It's a, in my opinion, especially after they just saw Suarez, they just saw a lefty. I feel like it's a crazy price to back Sanchez in this game. So yeah, that would be the answer to that question, in my opinion. All right, let's go to the chat. All right, we have shocker. Chat wants to talk Tigers, Astros. Ave Cash said he took some Astros. I think Colin must have took some Astros too. We got a great convo going on in the chat, which we love. We love the banter in the chat. We love it in the comments on the replay. So don't forget that if you're missing this live or you didn't see the whole show, the replay's on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. And if you have a second, give us a like, a subscribe, maybe even drop a comment. The chatter is going about Astros Tigers. Tigers was an easy win yesterday. Tokyo Brandon threw it in the parlay. Clearly, someone knew something because that number moved about 60 cents, like while we were on the show, 50 or 60 cents while we were on the show. And that was a cakewalk for the Tigers. Even with their guy on the mound today, Bryan Leonard, doesn't look like it's going to be as easy today because the Astros have Hunter Brown, an impressive pitcher in their own respect. So Tigers, Astros, how do you see in this one?
Yeah, Skubal has taken a step back the last few starts. You knew it was going to happen. Obviously, you can't be as good as he's been all season long. Every great pitcher has a couple that they'd like to throw back at the end of the season. But he's currently about a 168 favorite here against Brown. Total of 7 in the game. You'd expect a lower scoring game. Here's a good pitcher's ballpark, and you got 2 great pitchers going. Hunter Brown, 2.45 ERA, 3.05 expected, 1.00 on his whip. Everything on his StatCast page is positive. His worst category is walks, 58th percentile, which is still better than league average. He throws 6 pitches, including his four-seamer 40% of the time. And he throws at it 96.8. Very impressive. Terry Struble, obviously, the Cy Young winner, and he'll be the Cy Young winner again this year as long as he doesn't get hurt. 2.42 ERA, 2.68 expected, 0.87 whip. That's the deal. The guy doesn't walk many players. Last 2 years, it was 4.5% walks, 4.6%. Now it's 4%. That's what it makes him so great. He doesn't give up any free passes. His ground ball rate's a little bit lacking in the 45th percentile, but once again, he pitches in a very good pitcher park here, so he doesn't give up the home runs. 2 guys that you really would expect to have a good game. The total is 7. Basically 7 across the board is pretty good. But as I said, both of them had a little bit of hiccups in the last month that they hadn't had in the past. Maybe the amount of innings is becoming a little high. Keep in mind, Struble in 2023, because of injury, only threw 80. Last year, 192. He's at 152. So he still should be in pretty good shape with that. Brown went from 155 to 170. Right now he's at 143. So I'm not too concerned about that. Like both these teams, both these pitchers, and we think it's a low-scoring game. I lean with the under here. I don't go under 7 very often. But if you do like to play the under, you got 2 of the best pitchers in baseball playing in one of the best pitchers parks in baseball. The under seems to make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, just a quick announcement, guys. I'm not doing my Saturday show anymore because college football's starting, and who wants to watch some guy in glasses talk about baseball when there's college football on, right? So yeah, that show I'll redo it again next season. But as of now, yeah, Saturdays, I'm pretty sure I won't get much of an audience doing that Saturday show. So I have not canceled it. I have stopped it for the rest of this season. Next season. Regarding this game, I'm in line with Bryan. Under, I think, would be the only way to go. I'm going to do it in a different way, though, and I'll tell you why. I like the first 5 innings under 3.5. And the reason why is because both of these pitchers, here's where I have them ranked. Out of 220 starting pitchers, I got Struble ranked number 3 and Hunter Brown ranked number 11 right now. So those are top 11 elite pitchers. They both have great numbers against the batters they're facing. With decent sample size. Hunter Brown, 77 at-bats against, 208 average against, 568 OPS against. Excellent numbers. Struble, as Bryan mentioned, he struggled in a couple starts, but his numbers against these Astro batters, 218 average against, 667 OPS against, and that's with 78 at-bats. So good sample size. Let's take a look at the lineups. I have both of these lineups ranked 17 or worse in current form. I got the Tigers ranked 18, and I've got the Astros ranked 25. So all of that comes together to say, do I trust the bullpens or not? Not really. Astros bullpen's not performing well, and Detroit's bullpen is just toiling in mediocrity. So I would rather throw the bullpens out and just do a first 5. If you could alt this to 4.5 under, I was able to do that. But I don't see it available anymore. So I think under 4 is like minus 180. That's a little rich. So just take the under 3.5 and make a small play on that. That's what I'm going to do on this one. And I actually will make that not my parlay play, but it is a client play, small percent one.
My friends at Just Baseball, I've become buddies with the Just Baseball guys. So if you're not following them, they pump out awesome baseball content. They're a great follow on Twitter. And they posted the American League pennant odds yesterday from BetMGM. And when I saw the Tigers favored, I just about fell out of my chair because it's like that's not them saying they like the Tigers. That's Vegas basically. Vegas is making the Tigers the favorite in the American League right now, or going into play yesterday, which I imagine after a 10-0 win, it's probably still the same, to win the American League. Now, I'll point out that it's very close. You're looking at Tigers are like plus 350. Then you've got the Jays plus 375, Mariners 4-1, Astros 5-1, Yankees 5-1. So there is a little bit of a log jam. But it was like, it was interesting to me that, and I checked this at other books, and I'm seeing Tigers. The books think that the Tigers are the favorite in the American League. Now, even though I have kind of said, I don't agree with where they're priced in the market or where they were priced in the market, they haven't had the best month. So it's like, I do feel like the odds have come back just a little bit. Yesterday, as I said, I missed it. I mean, Tigers, I'm kicking myself that it wasn't on my card because, like, before I even had a chance to blink in the morning, it moved 50 cents. So I couldn't really come back and play it at a bad number, but they won easily. What I'm kind of looking for here is to see if the Astros take money, because I think you're going to see the crowd that you're going to see, like, the Astros can't pass them up at like plus 150 crowd, plus 145 crowd. If they drove this down into like Tigers minus 140 with Scooble, I think you'd have to really look at that. Scooble at home, you get him better than $1.50. I don't really know that using the word struggled is probably a little bit harsh. That Angel start wasn't very good, but like 7 innings, 3 runs against the Twins, against, on the road in Philly, he gives up 3 runs, but he goes 7 and strikes out 10. Like, I don't know. That's harsh. Like, that's not really struggling, in my opinion. That's just being a little bit human. So it's like, if I could get Scooble at even something that's remotely playable on his home field here, and someone in the chat makes a good comment, I do think he relishes this spot a little bit. This is national TV. It's a big opponent. It's much different than playing the Angels, in my opinion, like in the spot that he played them last time. They're going to kind of get pumped up for this. Like, it's a big game. So I would lean toward the Tigers here. I don't think I'll end up playing this one because I don't think I'm going to get the value. But if the Astros take some money, I got to look at the Tigers. Go ahead, Bryan.
The reason why the Tigers are the favorite is because they have an 8.5 game lead in the division, as opposed to 1.5 for Houston and 5 for Toronto. They assume Tigers are going to have home advantage, and they're very good at home, 40-24 on the season. I would, from a number standpoint, I would make them the favorite also. But as for who I think would win, I think it's a toss-up. In reality, all these teams have some things they do well, some things they don't do well, and anything can happen out of the American League. It would not surprise me if any of the teams in the playoffs were to win it all. National League is a little bit more wide open, where you've got 3 or 4 teams that are very good, and some other teams are going to make the playoffs that really are going to be long shots.
Right. I'm curious. So I listed off all those teams. The next team down is the Red Sox at like plus 850. Would that like interest you? I feel like that kind of interests me from a future standpoint. If you're looking at that group, because I agree with you, who do you love in that group? Right. Mm-hmm. Like, wouldn't you rather just have Red Sox plus 850 at this point?
They're tied, same record as the Yankees are right now. There's more value on them than there is on the Yankees, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, interesting stuff. Good conversation. Let's move it on. That'll be a good one to watch. That's TBS national TV for us here in the States. That'll be a good watch. Scooble versus Brown, Tigers versus Astros could be a preview of that opening playoff weekend where you get the 3-game series. So yeah, for sure. This has the chance to be a good pitching game, but then again, these teams go off the rails all the time. I never know. So it's like A's Twins. Theoretically, you've got Joe Ryan, who's an ace, and you've got Jacob Lopez, who's been he's an intriguing guy. I think he has potential. This one's in Target Field, so I guess it's, sets up better for pitching than it would say if you were at Sutter Health Park. So 2 good pitchers here, Bryan Leonard. A's Twins. Are you getting involved at all here?
Yeah, you mentioned Target Field. The wind will be blowing out here. It's expected to have 12% more runs than a normal baseball game. And we're looking at the total here. If I can find it on the card, Jesus. Yeah, we're looking at game 969. The total is 8.5, which it kind of opened 8, is going up a little bit. I can see that. I like both these pitchers, obviously. Lopez against Ryan. Ryan is about 140 favorite, total 8.5. It's interesting to me what Minnesota is going to do with Joe Ryan the rest of the year. They're not going to be in the playoffs. They tried to trade him. They couldn't get enough back. Boston really wanted him. A lot of teams wanted him. He's a really good pitcher, and he's healthy now. But will they just try? If I'm in management at Minnesota, it's clear that they don't try to win as often as some of the other teams do. The management's very cheap there. They said they were going to put the team up for sale, and then all of a sudden they pulled the rug, and now they're not up for sale. So all the fans were upset because they thought they were going to get a real owner in there. Now they're not. I could see Joe Ryan, they really cut back on his innings as the season goes on and look more towards next year. Lopez, because he came up later, he doesn't have that situation going. He's a lefty, and I really like him. When he's been good, there hasn't been really anybody that can count on him the way he has been this season. He's been very consistent, and the Minnesota bats, they just have not gotten it going all season long. And when the starters go out, I'm not a huge fan of the A's since they A's bullpen since they traded away, their best pitcher Miller. But they're a better bullpen than what Minnesota is. Minnesota traded away their 4 best relievers. So to get Oakland in this price range, I think is a little bit of a bargain. You can get upwards of 124, 125 out there right now with the A's. I think the situation calls for the A's a little bit here. And I think there's some value. I actually like a few underdogs on today's card, and this is one of them. So I'm going to be looking to find a way to play the A's or maybe a Minnesota team total under, which would also be something we can look at. Let me take a quick look at that. Yeah, you can get the Minnesota team total under 4.5 right now at minus 130. That's a pretty good bet. I like that also.
Exactly the same train of thought as Bryan here. Jacob Lopez, underrated pitcher. And Joe Ryan, I don't want to say he's overrated because he's a really good pitcher, but I think the books give him a little too much. I think they give him better lines than he deserves. He's a good pitcher though, make no doubt about it. But when I run my numbers, man, I love the A's in this matchup. Well, I just do. I mean, I got their batting ranked 5th. I got the Twins ranked 25th. I got the A's bullpen ranked 6th and the Twins bullpen ranked 18. And starting pitching, I got Jacob Lopez ranked higher than Joe Ryan. Now, maybe seems a little crazy or wacky. And maybe he's not as good as my numbers like him because, man, Joe Ryan is a very good and consistent pitcher. But Joe Ryan is backed by a very bad bullpen that lost a lot of pieces at the trade deadline and a lineup that's not producing. So even if Joe Ryan can hold this power-packed lineup down to 1 or 2 runs in the first 5 innings, Katie barred the door for the last 4 innings. I like Oakland here too. And actually, I made a play Minnesota under 4.5 team total as a client play before the show. So Bryan and I are exactly on the same wave.
Bryan, what was the weather again? Did you say the wind's blowing out in this game and that there could be what was that sort of weather line you said?
Yeah, I'm on the site I'm on has the wind blowing out, and it's plus 12% more runs than an average game. But this is not one of the greatest home run hitting parks. So a lot of times when the wind blows out, you have to take into account what park you're playing in, because in San Francisco the wind blows out every day at 10 miles an hour or more, basically. And by far, they are the worst home run hitting park in baseball. So you have to take a lot of things into account. But I don't think this is going to be much of a high scoring game either.
See, that's the wind and that's intriguing to me because both of these pitchers are like extreme fly ball pitchers, especially Jacob Lopez. Jacob Lopez is one of the lowest ground ball rates in Major League Baseball. And Joe Ryan, if you watch Joe Ryan, if he's going to get beat by the home run. It's like the only way he's getting beat. It's pretty much a given. Like, and especially with this A's lineup, going back to something Tokyo Brandon said, like you get this A's lineup against a righty. So someone's taken Joe Ryan deep at some point over the course of 6-7 innings. Now that's not to say he's going to pitch poorly, but like you give Nick Kurtz 3 cracks at him or like a Soderstrom 3 cracks at him, like someone's probably going to get one at some point. So I lean toward the over because I do think that there might be a couple home runs in this game. But really the thing that's almost a bonus here, because I think where you get the value on the A's and the value on the over is the shit show that's going to occur when both of these bullpens are in the game, which are both just not good at this point. They've all traded away. Like the Twins and the A's have both traded away all of their top arms. So once Ryan is out, once Lopez is out, like TB was saying, it could be a free-for-all. And I think that's going to, A, get you runs, and B, makes the A's a great play at the price because it could go crazy at the end of this game. TB, were you going to follow up there? Sorry.
Yeah, and if it turns into a shit show at the end of the game, which lineup would you rather have?
Oh, the A's for sure.
Exactly.
The A's for sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, this A's lineup is something else. Like they lack a little discipline at this point, which will probably be ironed out from this year to next year. But this A's team, by the time they get to Vegas, is going to be awesome. I mean, they're going to be. They'll probably win that division the first year they're in Vegas. Like that, I think that's how good this team could potentially be if the ownership doesn't ruin it. So yeah, I like the A's as well. And I think there's going to be runs in this one, especially if there's a couple long balls that ball's carrying a little bit.
Yep.
Let's go to Danzo here, because I know Brian Leonard wanted to talk about this game at some point. Well, at least I imagined him saying that, but I think he wants to talk about it. Danzo says, Rockies 6-2 in one-run game since the All-Star break. Only the Brewers 7-2 are better. If you watched the show yesterday, we broke down Rockies Dodgers and all kind of couldn't believe that the Rockies were catching 3 runs on the spread. Turns out they didn't need any of those runs. They won the game, as Brian kind of pointed out, would be possible to do. It was a bad spot for the Dodgers. So, Brian, how are you seeing this one, Dodgers-Rockies? Does it go the other way tonight?
Well, as I said before we started the show, I kind of think this is a good spot for the Dodgers to come back, but there's no way I'm laying that line. It's upwards of 285 in some places, so I'm not going to do that. But Austin Gomber is a guy that I think the Dodgers can really get to here. You're looking at a total of 12, maybe something like the Dodgers team total over. Let's see what that is actually. 7.5. So you got to score 8 runs to win that.
Jesus.
I won't get involved with that. But Sheehan's basically a 175 favorite here with a total of 12. Emmett Sheehan's one of those guys that he's pitching for his job and pitching for his future. He's 25 years old. And if it was up to the Dodgers, he would never play in the majors because they keep bringing in all these high-priced free agents. But he's been decently good, 3.86 ERA, 3.61 expected, 1.23 whip. Nothing is outstanding on his StatCast page. He's only pitched 35 innings. But he's one of the guys that normally he'll be a 4th or 5th starter. Those are the kind of guys you normally get some value on. If you're going to play a Yankee or a Met or a Dodger, you're not going to get any value in playing their aces. Austin Gomber, 6.79 ERA, 5.66 expected, 1.61 whip. Austin Gomber, what is this, August 19th? We talked about Verlander earlier in the season. It took him a long time to get a victory. Austin Gomber still has not gotten a victory on this season. Let's take a look at some of his, and I hate to use him as an example, and because he does pitch in Colorado, so you gotta understand that. I don't think anybody in baseball is bad. I think there's levels of less good. And he's one of those, and it doesn't help that he places in Colorado. But his
about Senzatella?
His barrel percentage first percentile, whiff rate first percentile, strikeout rate second percentile, fastball velocity third, Expected ERA 5th, chase rate 5th. He doesn't walk people. That's good. He only walks in the 6% range, which is 2.5% lower than league average. But that's a good thing when you're pitching in Colorado. The last thing you want to do is walk people. So that's the one thing he does that's very good. But I think the Dodgers will hit him. But I'm not going to play over 7.5 runs. I don't care if I was out there pitching. I'm not playing anybody over 7.5 runs. We've seen that with a lot of these pitchers coming, or a lot of these position players coming in and pitching better than the rest of the players. The other day, the catcher for the Guardians came in, threw a perfect inning, or he didn't throw a perfect inning, he left the bases loaded, but he didn't give up a run in the 9th inning, and he was the only pitcher on the entire staff that didn't give up a run. So it happens, when the other team sees those guys come in, they don't try as hard or want to get the game over with. But I like the Dodgers here, but I can't lay this number, so I'll end up passing.
Yeah, my numbers, if you watched the show yesterday, guys, all three of us said, watch out. These are the kind of games that they're going to lose. They came off a sweep of their bitter rival. Well, more bitter for San Diego than the Dodgers. It's more like a little brother. They swept their little brother, and then after getting swept by the Angels, they come back and sweep a playoff contending team, a division title contending team. And they were just due for a letdown. And I hate to use the word due because I never like to bet on it. They're due, but it's just a horrible spot. Like Marco likes to talk about fat and sassy, and that's how they were, after sweeping the Padres. Padres are a damn good team. And they swept them, and then they come into Colorado, a game they're going to win. Oh, yeah, hey, it's the Rockies, boom, you lost. So that bullpen's terrible, but I think they bounce back today. And I like Sheehan, actually. I know the sample size is small, and he's not a proven commodity, but he's a lot better than Austin Gomber. Bryan makes a good point. Gomber doesn't walk people, but Sheehan doesn't walk people either. If the Dodger bullpen can be better than what they actually are, I think the Dodgers win this one. I would be willing to lay -1.5 because you got a team total of 7, right? I mean, yes, the Colorado Rockies can hit. And Adam, that guy for Colorado that you were talking about yesterday, he smacked one over the fence yesterday. The young guy.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Warming Bernabel. Learn his name.
Yeah.
He's to be around for a
Yeah.
while.
Who names their kid that, by the way? What is he, Australian?
I hate to cut you off, but there was somebody that went into the chat on the replay, and he explained why they named him that. It was because of the names of his grandfathers on both sides of the family, and he combined those, and that's how he got Warming.
Interesting.
Good information.
Yeah, it is good information. I think the Dodgers would be the only way to go here. But, yeah, it's a little steep, so I probably won't do it. But they should bounce back.
I mean, it doesn't matter as much when they're priced this high. I got this line like almost a full $1 off. Like I've got Dodgers like -350 here. Now I know it's like some of the square books are probably starting to get into the 285, 290 range. But this is why, like, especially with the big favorites, you always should shop around. But especially with the big favorites like this, like I see there's still some 260s out there with the Dodgers. It's just you got to look. You got to depend on what book. But I just did a quick scan, and I saw 265 out there at 2 different books. Then you're already up to, then I pulled up like MGM and some of the, the legal apps, and it's like 290 already. Listen, if you can get 260 on the Dodgers here, I wouldn't play it straight, but if you can find something to parlay it with, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think they're going to lose again. And my personal number on this is Dodgers -350. Now, again, I'm not going to play that because that's just not how I bet. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I see a pretty sizable edge here. Just if I'm just trying to pick a winner in this game, on the Dodgers, I would have expected them. And I think they'll probably go off in the $3 range or maybe even more than that, because That's where I would have expected it to be. So I'm not going to really like go into like, we don't need to break this one down anymore. Dodgers clear favorite. As far as the 7.5, that's what my number is on the team total. So like, but again, I wouldn't, they juiced it, which is even crazier. It's 7.5, like minus 125, which is insane. Like maybe that's another one where you got to shop around. But you could throw the Dodgers in a parlay, or maybe like, I don't know what the -1 is. Like TB likes the -1. If you can get, if you can get it under $2 with Dodgers -1, like there's a good chance they're probably winning by more than a run. So yeah, I like the Dodgers here. All right, let's move on. Colin Gregory says play of the day for him is Blue Jays money line -145. Kind of agree with that. This is a game that last night or yesterday, we talked about this game yesterday, and I feel like this was one that we sort of fleshed out on the show, and no one ended up really having an opinion on. And it kind of, I feel like it played out in the way that we all maybe thought, even though no one had a strong opinion on it. Blue Jays made a couple errors. They clearly didn't have like their A game. Like they weren't like overly focused for that, in my opinion, which was always possible coming off the series they played this weekend. And the Pirates got a win 5-2. So Colin saying he wants to come back here with the Blue Jays. That's his play of the day. What do you think, Brian? What do you think about the Blue Jays?
Well, as for not being fully focused, they were going up against the best pitcher in the National League. I can't buy that. You always want to show against the best pitchers out there.
No, I was more talking about the 3 errors that were made.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, they're not the greatest defensive team, and that's probably one of the teams that's going to struggle in that way. If you ask me, that entire East Division has some defensive problems. They go out and they spend a lot of money on hitters, but they don't pay a lot of attention to defense. And most of the low salary teams like the Tampa Bays, the Clevelands, those kind of things, they've always been very good defensively. And the Brewers are, there's not a thing out there that the Brewers are not good at. They don't hit a lot of home runs. Okay. Well, that's not their game, but they've got good bullpen and they've got good defensive players. So they're a good all around team. I talked about Max Scherzer pitching better than I thought. He comes in with a 3.83 ERA. 3.95 expected, 1.07 whip. But keep in mind, he's been battling injuries all year. He's been battling injuries for the last couple of years. He had 27 starts in 2023, and he's had a total of 19 starts since, but he's been good. His ground ball rate is in the first percentile, so he does give up a lot of fly balls. That is always a concern. But Pittsburgh's more of a good pitcher's park, so I don't think he has to worry too much about that. Barrel rate also in the 8th percentile. He has been hit hard. I like Toronto here. I don't know if I'm going to get there because of the number. The number's a little higher than what I would like. Mitch Keller, still surprised he's still in Pittsburgh. I really thought they would get rid of him at the end of the season, but he's got a long-term contract and he's pretty cheap, which would make some teams really want him. Comes in with a 4.13 ERA, 4.14 expected, 1.27 whip. But the two things he's really good at is walk rate and barrel percentage. He only walks 6.5%. League average is 8.4. He keeps you in the games, and that's something that has been working out. He's only won 5 games for the Pirates this year after winning 24 the last 2 years combined. Hasn't had the luck value in that regard, but neither has Skeens because of that. So I think Toronto's the right side here, but it's about 10 cents higher than what I would want. It opened 140, and now I'm actually seeing 150 at the places that nobody I know can bet in, and that would be ESPN, DraftKings, and maybe Fanatics. So they're making you pay a little bit more on the favorite. That's what they get. Those places, if you're playing there, you're probably not very knowledgeable and you play a lot of favorites. So prefer Toronto. May take a look at it one way or another at a team total, something like that. But I prefer Toronto, but I'm not going to lay a 145 or whatever on the road here.
With Bryan again. I like the Blue Jays here. Both of these pitchers have good numbers against their opponent, but I have Max Scherzer ranked a little bit higher. Yeah, he's getting up there in age, but if you look at his last few starts, he's only given up 4 earned runs in his last 3 starts, and he's gone 7+ innings or 6+ innings in every one of those starts. So I don't see any sign of age there. It might come. I don't think he's going to get blown up. He's a better pitcher than Keller, in my opinion, and but Keller has good numbers against the Blue Jays too. So let's call the starting pitchers a push if we're going to be kind to the Pirates. I got the Pirates bullpen ranked 29 out of 30, and I got their hitting ranked 28 out of 30. It's hard to win games when you are that bad. So despite being maybe comparable in starting pitching, the number 6 lineup should be able to take care of the Pirates here. I got it for -135. I thought that was pretty good value, actually. And I did, I'm going to put that out as a client play. Why not? I think -130. If you think that's too steep, then make it a -1. But yeah, Blue Jays would be the way to go, in my opinion.
My only issue with the Jays here, because I like them as well. When I did my initial pass through games, they're on my, that's the side I would want in this game. My only problem is like Vlad is definitely not playing tonight. He tweaked his hamstring, so he's going to be out of the lineup. And the line really hasn't moved. And the way I look at this is like he's got to be worth something. So it's like when is the market going to wake up and right, like when is some group going to decide that they have to bet Pittsburgh because Vlad's worth X number of cents to the line? Because now I'd be willing to play back on that, because I don't necessarily think the Jays need Vlad in the lineup to win this game, but I need to be getting something in return for that, right? Like I need to be getting 20 cents, 30 cents for Vlad Guerrero, because if I'm not, I can't bet the Blue Jays, because they are, I mean, he is a player that like should move the number probably 20 cents. I don't know.
Yeah, but can you name one guy in the Pittsburgh lineup? I mean, yeah,
I can name
one
the
of their
whole
good
lineup.
guys is injured, but I mean,
I can name the whole lineup. I can also name the Indianapolis Indians lineup, which has guys that should be
28 out of 30.
Listen, no, there's no question. Like the Pirates are a bad baseball team, but you can't take Vlad out of that lineup and tell me he's not worth 30 cents, 20 cents. If that moves, and all of a sudden we're sitting here, Jays -125. Well, yeah, I got to think about the Jays at that point, because I would disagree with the Pirates taking an exorbitant amount of money just because Vlad's not playing. But if it's going to stay in this current price range, I can't get involved because he's absolutely worth something to the number. All right, we're getting toward the end of the show. Have we talked about a game that that you guys want to put in the parlay, or do we have? Go ahead, Brian.
I'll do mine. First off, it is $5 Tuesday. We all have free plays up, and we've got best bets up. I do want to point out a couple things. First of all, Adam has been hot as hell in AAA. I know they don't show that on the site, but if you're playing AAA baseball, make sure you join Adam. He's been terrific in that regard. Brandon, as he mentioned, another sweep of the board yesterday. He's been having a hell of a season. He's had a hell of a career over at Wager Talk. I've won 9 of the last 10 days in Major League Baseball. Number 1 the last 3, number 2 the last 7. I've got my 5% play up. I'm going to go back to this Seattle-Philadelphia game. I think there's many ways to play this. We've already got a Seattle +1.5 part of the parlay. I'm going to go back to the same game. I like the Philadelphia team total under 4.5 here. As I said, Miller is not only healthy, and he feels healthy, he's been in the minors for a while, and he's had plenty of time to build up. It's not like they rushed him back or anything. They haven't had the vacancy. Then now, obviously, Gilbert may leave, and they need to bring somebody else up. But he was already scheduled to come up here. I think we're going to get a good effort from him, and the 4 best pitchers in the Seattle bullpen, which is a pretty good bullpen, will all be available today. I think Philadelphia under 4.5 is going to be my free play or my best bet in this parlay here. For hopefully we get 2 in a row here. We won yesterday. Let's get it again today.
I'm going to change my leg if you're going to do that, which I'm fine with, because I think it's going to be for two reasons. One, I don't think people are going to be able to parlay a run line and a team total under. So, but I'm cool with it. Like I like your angle better than Mariners plus 1.5 there.
Yeah.
So if that's okay, Bryan, what was it again? It's Phillies team total under.
Team total under 4.5 minus 125.
Team total under 4.5 minus 125. And just quickly, we don't need to rehash it. If you've missed the show or any point of the show, I'm using Cubs in game one because I don't think I'm going to be able to make a straight bet on it. They've taken a little bit of money, but I think that I like that Cubs game one. So, Bryan, what are you seeing Cubs game one at right now?
Looks to be about a 150.
All right, so Cubs minus 150 for game one. I gotta bring this up. Tuck Nelson says, no way these guys are talking about parlaying. I mean, this is something we do on the show literally every day. We've done it all year.
Obviously never watched this.
It's not like it's basically a fun parlay we do for the show. You could basically take them and play them straight. So far this year, we've done this pretty much every day since we started the show. And we're up 5.36 units. So for every dollar risked, if you've risked the same thing on each one, you're up $5.36. So, hey, we've been grinding it out for months, and we're ahead on the parlays. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a big parlay bettor either, but it's just something we do for fun on the show.
We've said it before. I don't play parlays. I don't recommend parlays. I play each individual leg, and even though we don't track that, it's got to be up much higher than what we've done in the parlays.
Yeah, and it's $5 Tuesday, guys. So go to our sites down there. You can see what we have and our free plays. My leg of the parlay is going to be the Yankees on the money line. And since the show is basically over right now, I'll just tell you real quick why. I like Rodon's numbers against these Rays. I don't like Baz's numbers against the Yankees, and Baz is a horrible home pitcher. Yankees have the better lineup. They got not the better bullpen, but they're comparable. And they got the much better starting pitcher. So I like the Yankees on the money line here.
They're currently minus 125. And also, I don't know, nobody mentioned it. Obviously, you just talked about it. This is where the Yankees play in the spring training games. They're very familiar with the stadium.
Yeah. I like them on the money line. It's a client play I put out. It's not my $5 play. It's a lesser percent than that. But I did put this out to my clients as well.
Yeah, we're going to wrap the show up. I'll just say I agree with you. That's another game I kind of had jotted down today.
We've been agreeing a lot lately.
I think it's
but we've been winning a lot lately.
Cheap price on Rodon, in my opinion. That Rays lineup can't really hit. So I don't hate that by any means. All right. So the parlay, which won yesterday, got us, we were getting dangerously close to even on the year. And then we hit the 3-teamer yesterday. So like I said, back up 5.36 units on the parlay. Again, these are just for fun. If you want the real plays, head on over to Wager Talk, where we put our real plays up every day. I don't want to see people in the comments are like, why don't they post their pick? This show is more about giving you guys baseball knowledge, and maybe you get a pick here and there. It's very simple. If you want the picks, we work for a pick site. They're all on the site. And on Tuesday, they're up for $5. So check out the site. That's where our picks are. If you want to come and learn about baseball betting and break down games for an hour, that's the show for you right here. So anyway,
basically, if you need to be spoon-fed free picks, you're never going to win at this anyways. So just give up. We're giving you baseball knowledge so you can use it and bet on your own. If you want our free plays, they're down there at the scroller. Go to WagerTalk.com.
We've got a lot of good guys in the chat room. If you don't want to pay for the picks, these guys are really knowledgeable. They've been with us all season long. I read the comments, especially if it's the ones where they put on the YouTube where I can go back and comment on them. A lot of good information. Hey, we got what warming is, how they can need warming. Yeah. So that's something I didn't know.
No, there's a lot of good info in the comment section on the YouTube replay, and it's because the chat is very knowledgeable. So we like Nance says, like, yeah, I mean, it probably isn't gonna keep us in the top of the Wager Talk sales board, but like this show really is like about, making your own plays and being a better handicapper. But like, obviously we always appreciate if you buy. So, no, I just want to like, and it's not, it wasn't just that one comment. It does come up. So I felt like it was a good time to just point that out. If you want picks with no analysis, just head over to YouTube. You'll find a million people doing that. So at any rate,
go to wagertalk.com. There's at
people
least
that do
20
that there.
plus free plays on the free play page at wagertalk.com, and most of them are from us. So.
All right, let's recap the parlay one more time. See if we can back-to-back 3-teamers. I know that's asking a lot, but let's see. Cubs, which are now minus 150 in game one. I wonder if there is the Brewers are going to rest guys, because that's a pretty substantial move right there up to the Cubs minus 150. So that is Cubs minus 150 game one, an early game today. We then have Tokyo Brandon on the Yankees money line, and Bryan Leonard is going to go with Phillies team total under 4.5. And I suppose if you can't parlay a team total, maybe you can sub it out for Mariners plus 1.5 minus 140. It would keep the price point on the parlay roughly the same. That parlay comes out to plus 440. So let's see if we can do it again today. As always, it's Tuesday, $5 plays from all 3 handicappers. So check that out. And we'll be back with you guys tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern. See you then.